Memes are everywhere, for better or for worse, and there are surely some old folk who shake their heads disapprovingly and are convinced that this new internet fad is just more evidence that the young generations are worse than the old. This is of course the exact same utter nonsense that their grandparents believed about them. Every generation gets old and thinks that their replacements are worse. But that well-known phenomenon is not my main point today. My main argument can be summed up as follows. Memes are not an internet phenomenon. Okay, obviously the internet has helped them grow and propagate, but they have existed for as long as humans have. And to prove that, here are 5 memes that predate the widespread use of the internet. Due to a lack of any better system, I'll go in reverse chronological order. Starting in 1989, which may not technically predate the internet, but definitely predates its widespread adoption, stickers like this and this started appearing in cities around the world with no explanation. They started as an art project by a man named Shepard Fairey, a skateboarder. He would give away the stickers at skateboard meetups, and they would spread from there, appearing all over the world. They were mysterious, with no obvious meaning or message, and they were quite the phenomenon for a while. The meme is still alive today. It is frequently referenced in popular culture, and references to it are often used to make social commentary. It is very much on the internet now, but it grew and established itself offline. That said, a website run by the artist says the sticker has no meaning but exists only to cause people to react, which sounds a lot like the internet to me. Going back a little further, we find graffiti, t-shirts, bumper stickers, etc. with the phrase Frodo lives. It is, on its face, a reference to a main character in The Lord of the Rings. The timing of this phenomena coincides with the release of a new version of the books in the US. It was popular among certain groups who identified as counterculture. The character of Frodo was seen as a normal person, as opposed to a born hero, who still achieved greatness. Some even claimed that he was essentially a metaphorical hippie. The reference to him living is based on the one possible interpretation of the ending of the story that, while fascinating to geeks like me, would take way too long to go into this week. This meme has lost a lot of steam, but has not disappeared entirely. One could say that it still lives. Lives in Valinor with the other immortals. No. I promise not to go into that. Next. Here's one you have probably seen. I know I first became aware of it in Bugs Bunny cartoons. Kilroy was here. American soldiers in World War II left this image and motto and variations of it wherever they went. It doesn't appear to have had a specific meaning, and there are some arguments about how it actually originated. It may have been an adaptation of another meme, Mr. Chad. It may have begun with a man named James Kilroy who worked in a shipyard and felt that he needed to prove that he had inspected certain areas. So he left that as his mark. Or maybe not. The best part of the Kilroy meme, though, is that the Germans became aware of it, and according to some reports, were actually worried that it was the code name of an American spy in their midst. I absolutely love the mental image of Hitler worrying about Kilroy. I don't know if it's true, but I absolutely want it to be. Okay, let's talk about marginalia. These are illustrated manuscripts, painstakingly made by monks, often decorated with precious metals and beautifully illustrated. As you might expect from books made by men whose life was devoted to their religion, the margins are full of, unusual things. I tried to write a good description, but I think this is just a case of images being worth way more than words. This particular motif, the butt trumpet, is especially popular. It makes sense when you think about it, though. These were a group of men living almost exclusively with other men. Fart jokes were going to happen. However, perhaps the most odd bits of marginalia are the 2 phrases that get repeated in the margins of books written in Germany, England, Lithuania, and one found in the remains of a Jesuit mission in Brazil. These phrases are presented without context and in some ways seem almost prophetic. I have no images because the monastic orders refuse to let these specific words be photographed, and they will give no explanation as to why. My Latin is rusty, not rusty, non-existent, so apologies on the pronunciations. The phrases are the single word fove and the 2-word phrase hic erat. Why these words? What do they mean? I don't know, but if you can figure it out, please let me know in the comments. Finally, I want to argue that all of Greek mythology is in fact a series of memes. That is true of most mythologies and folklores, but I will use the Greek as an example because it is the one with which I am the most familiar. This may seem like an odd thing to claim as a meme, so let me justify it. A meme, originally described by Richard Dawkins in terms of evolutionary biology, is a thought, idea, behavior, etc. that spreads from person to person. A meme is a concept that spreads and is used and adapted by many people. And that's really what the figures of Greek mythology are. They are ideas that spread and are changed and adapted by the people who use them. Take Odysseus. He's always strong and always very clever. That never changes in any of the stories, but what that cleverness means and how it is applied certainly does. In Homer's The Odyssey, he uses his cleverness to be a hero, a man to be looked up to and emulated. But in Virgil's epic The Aeneid and Euripides' play The Trojan Women, he still is cunning, but his guile makes him a villain who destroys people's lives. He captures women as slaves and abandons his men so that he can escape. The base idea is the same, a cunning warrior, but as it spreads, it is changed and adapted. And I would be remiss not to mention the play Exarchiki Peripeteia, in which Odysseus uses his cleverness to beat Hades in a dice game to escape the underworld. Another example is Prometheus, the god who gave fire to mankind and was punished by becoming a buffet for eagles. In some versions, he is a hero helping humanity out. In others, like Hesiod's works and Days, his actions hurt and doom humanity to toil and labor they would have otherwise avoided. There are dozens of examples because every Greek myth and every Greek character has a central idea that remains the same. These ideas spread from person to person, storyteller to storyteller, and as they do, they are changed and adapted to different messages. Just like this image could be used to make a silly joke about a board game, to play on the spherical nature of the earth, or to make political commentary. Ideas spread, it's what they do. Sometimes they remain the same and are simply copied over and over, and other times they adapt and grow. I guess that's not too dissimilar to the people who have these ideas, which begs the question, am I just a meme trapped in a box on the internet? I'm not sure I want to explore this idea any further, but I may not have a choice.